We are not guests in any place. We join parties by choice, and you live by choice.
I am in Jubilee by right. Deputy President William Ruto vows to stay put even as he builds his own outfit for 2022 presidential bid. Chaos in Embu as one person is shot dead, with locals taking to the streets protesting the killing of two brothers.
Unaenda mazishi, alafu ukiwa na afya mzuri, alafu a couple of days later tunakuja mazishi yako.
And don't prepare for your own funeral. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe warns against gatherings that have turned into coronavirus super spreaders. Welcome back. Our sign language interpreter is Lucy Maura. And remember, we would like to hear from you. You can send us a message on all our platforms. KBC Channel 1 is the handle on Twitter and also on Facebook and Instagram. Some of the stories that we will highlight today are actually from your feedback. Now, moving on, President Uhuru Kenyatta has nominated Francis Wanderi from Nyeri, Justice Obonyo from Homa Bay, Juliana Cherara from Mombasa, and Irene Cherop from Elgeyo Marakwet as commissioners to serve at the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Subsequently, the head of state has forwarded the names of the four to Parliament for consideration. The Speaker of the National Assembly has given the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee 28 days to conclude the vetting.
Act number 33 of 2011 is now seeking the approval of the National Assembly on the appointment of the following nominees. Number 1, Ms. Juliana Honge Cherera. Number 2, Mr. Francis Matenge Wanderi. Number 3, Ms. Irene Cherop Masit. Number 4, Mr. Justice Obonyo Nyangaya. I hereby refer the message together with the curriculum vitae of the four nominees to the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs for the committee to undertake the necessary approval hearings. The committee should expeditiously notify the nominees and the general public of the time and place for holding the approval hearings.
Deputy President William Ruto has brushed off calls by his political opponents to officially announce his exit from the Jubilee Party ahead of the 22 general elections. Speaking after a parliamentary meeting of legislators allied to his camp at his private residence in Karen, the Deputy President said he is not a guest in the Jubilee Party despite appearing as an outsider. Ben Chumba reports.
A few days after he was blocked from leaving the country for a private visit to Uganda, Deputy President William Ruto hosted 135 legislators early to his camp at his current residence in Nairobi. Dressed in the UDA party black and yellow colors, the Deputy President led his political brigade to brush off calls to officially exit from the Jubilee Party.
We are not guests in any place. We join parties by choice, and you live by choice. So nobody should be bothered, and nobody should ask anybody why you are still here.
In yet another clear indication of broken relations with the party under which they were elected, the legislators claim the Jubilee Party has collapsed.
Regrettably, the NASA coalition, its principals, and their Jubilee collaborators took the government hostage, hijacked its agenda, and completely destroyed the governing Jubilee Party and dismembered the entire opposition coalition.
The meeting centered on the political situation in the country and the 2022 campaign roadmap. The DP taking the opportunity to hit at his opponents, accusing them of insulting the bottom-up economic model he believes will solve the challenges facing the country.
They should equally explain to the country how their trickle-down economic model that has not worked for the last 50, 60 years is going to work this time round.
So we want the people of Kenya to choose between us and them based on very informed socio-economic political models.
Using the same resources we have, by changing the model, we can create more jobs, we can create more enterprise, and we can get farmers and pastoralists supported to produce more.
The development coming as the ODM party dismissed claims by the UDA lawmakers that ODM took the government hostage and hijacked its agenda. In a statement, ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna instead accused the DP's allied lawmakers of blaming their self-inflicted problems on everyone. With less than a year to the 2022 general elections, political parties across the country continue to convince Mwananchi. The United Democratic Alliance says it has the secret and a turnaround strategy of the country's economy. Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
Postmortem done on Thursday on bodies of two brothers who were found at Embu Level 5 Hospital mortuary reveals that the two died from head and limb injuries. According to the family lawyer, Mushangi Gishugu says both Benson Jiru and Emmanuel Mutura were hit with a blunt object.
The family advocate says Jiru's body had multiple injuries on the head, broken limbs, indicating that he might have jumped from a moving vehicle. However, Mutura's body had no injuries except on the head, an indication he was hit with a blunt object, nullifying the notion that the boy jumped from a moving vehicle.
The Benson one is consistent to what the police said. He might have jumped from the vehicle because there are broken ribs and then there are those bruises in his body. But now with the second one, there is not any bruise, there is not any broken rib. He only has head injuries in his body.
Gishugu said the family will pursue the criminal justice system to ensure justice is accorded to the family of the deceased.
We are very much concerned and interested in this matter. We will be pursuing to ensure that the family gets justice.
We want them to do investigation. If there is anyone involved, let them be taken to court so that our late children can get justice.
Tension has remained high in Kianjokoma Trading Center, Embu North Sub-County, as locals and residents engaged police in running battle. Following the confrontation, one person died on the spot after he was shot in the head by the police. Suleiman Yeri, Prime Edition.
Now to the COVID report, where the country has recorded 1,571 COVID-19 positive cases Thursday from a sample size of 9,065 tested. This translates to a positivity rate of 17.3%. The total confirmed positive cases are now 208,262, and cumulative tests so far conducted are 2,166,046. On a positive note, 4,497 patients have recovered from the disease, with 4,335 from home-based care and isolation program, while 162 are from various healthcare facilities across the country. On a sad note, 32 patients have succumbed to the disease, 3 of them in the last 24 hours, while 29 are late deaths reported after conducting facility audits on diverse dates, according to a statement by the Ministry of Health. The total fatalities now stand at 4,057. Meanwhile, a total of 1,750,260 vaccines have so far been administered across the country. Well, still on COVID, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe is warning Kenyans not to be enticed to political gatherings and later end up mourning. Kagwe said such meetings and funerals are now super spreaders of coronavirus and is incumbent upon everybody to think of their safety. Kagwe was speaking Thursday when he hosted his Tanzanian counterpart, Dr. Dorothy Gwajima, who is in the country, to find modalities on how the two countries can harmonize the COVID-19 guidelines to ease cross-border movement.
Kagwe is warning Kenyans to avoid political gatherings and funerals, saying the events have increased the rate of infections in the country.
Let's not be forced. Let's not wait for enforcement on this issue, because you are talking about a very, it's humanity, it's human feelings, and we don't want to go into a funeral and start beating people up and sending people away.
The CS who had hosted his Tanzanian counterpart, Dr. Dorothy Gwajima, said it was now upon everyone to think of their safety and avoid crowded places which can end up being death traps.
Unaenda mazishi, alafu ukiwa na afya mzuri, alafu a couple of days later tunakuja mazishi yako. Alafu wale wengine sasa wanafuata hiyo mazishi yako, pia tunaenda mazishi yao. Kwa hivyo mimi nimewasihi tu wa Kenya, kama mtu ameenda jameni.
Kagwe has in the meantime assured Kenyans that the government is in control and has put in place elaborate surveillance, more so in schools.
That the danger in schools is more to do with the teachers than to do with the students, because essentially what we have observed is that the students are essentially asymptomatic, and the problem becomes when they pass it on to the teachers.
Tanzanian Health Minister Dr. Dorothy Gwajima on her part said her country has hastened its operation at the cross-border points, only allowing those with COVID-19 certificate to ensure the fight against the pandemic is won in both countries.
Our spirits now have been very well united for future, and let us keep this so that we can make East Africa one, we can manage our problems, we can solve all our problems. We have enough solutions, experiences, we can exchange and make East Africa a friendly country for us and whoever comes to visit and live with us.
Timothy Kipnoso for Prime Edition.
We'll take a short break, but when we come back, Tax 101 today, we'll be talking about corporate tax. That coming shortly.
Mudu ya kwanza ndo kaleta keti akazitakiwa. Mudu ya pili akazitakiwa. Sasa mumeleta ya huyu mtoto amepatia mzee mimba.
Wewe ulikuwa na kesi hapa?
Nikisema kwamba sijai kuona naweza kuwa nasema rongo.
Bwana, si ulikuja na ukabuka na mimi pale bwana. Ndio mtoto yako ya kufuate.
Wewe umeitumwa pesa na mwanaume. Ndio unakula anatuma tena. Haulizi? Unakula anatuma tena. Kuna shida na hiyo?
Huyu mzee hakuna mtu anatopokanga
na wewe mzee. Hii tabia watu kula fea. Ishawahi kutokea.
Si ndio? Wanacheza pale. Mia yangu nilikuliwa 50 pop. Nilisikia uchungu mbaya sana pale.
50 bob na pesa ngapi?
The global spending on research and development reached an all-time high of $1.7 trillion in the year 2020. And 10 countries account for 80% of this budget. And Kenya is not a member of this elite club.
We are training our people, we are guiding our people so that they don't only depend on buying what is coming from abroad, but developing their own and also competing with the giants that are, and they'll reach there.
This week on Inside Government, our focus is on R&D, the hit and the misses, and of course, the lessons learned. Right here on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back, and now to business, where the National Treasury Thursday officially started the 2022-2023 budget-making process with a call on Kenyans to forward their recommendations on what should be included. National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Yatani is upbeat that the economy would rebound in the next fiscal, growing at 6.6%. Yatani, however, says the COVID-19 pandemic and political activity are risks that could erode investor confidence and affect growth.
The National Treasury is keen on ensuring that government projects run smoothly despite an economic pressure occasioned by the COVID-19 scourge.
The budget preparation process is guided by strict legal timelines, and especially for this financial year 2022-2023 cycle, which, as we all know, coincides with the 2022 general elections. I therefore wish to urge sector chairpersons and accounting officers to give this process personal attention, please.
The 2022-2023 fiscal year falls within the general election cycle, making it necessary for the policy makers to start the national budget preparation processes early to ensure that there is ample time for engaging with relevant stakeholders.
In addition, the government should embrace the performance contracting as a way of improving efficiency, as well as create employment opportunities for the youth. In light of the above, it is my hope that the sector working groups will be meticulous enough and focus on the priorities of the country, and that they will give the best outcome to the citizens.
Policymakers plan to prioritize and allocate resources to areas that will address unemployment, health challenges, and income inequalities occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic. Rotich is upbeat that the economy would rebound to the government's medium-term growth targets of more than 6% in 2022, with coronavirus and politics ahead of the general election being key risks. Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
At a time when counties are struggling with limited resources, the county of Mandera is looking within its borders for potential revenue-generating opportunities. Now, the Rock Hill at Takaba is on its radar. But how will a rocky hill translate into the much-needed county revenue? Our reporter Aidan Ibrahim traveled to Takaba and filed the following report.
Welcome to Takaba town in Mandera County. Despite Takaba in Mandera West constituency being an arid area, it is rich in untapped tourist attraction sites and other rich natural resources.
In terms of creating, for purpose of creating environment, for purpose of getting revenue for the government, the first step is mapping out county resources, whether it is water, whether it is minerals, whether it is tourist site, what? We need to map our resources.
Na mkiangalia hii milima vile inakaa ni ile kitu tunaita tourist attraction. Tourist attraction hatungeweza kufanya vile inavyotakikana hapa kwa sababu ya mabarabara.
Such as the Rock Hill of Takaba.
Residents of Takaba enjoy an outing here, especially during festivals, as was the case recently during the Eid celebrations.
Utaona watu wa restaba, utaona wazungu ambao wanakuja kupanda hii milima na watalipa. Sisi sasa ni yetu, hatutalipa, tutakula polepole, tutajienjoy polepole naye. Lakini iko wengine watakuja, tutawalipisha kwa sababu hii ni rasilimali yetu ya Mungu ametupatia.
Na ile zingine zaidi ya tourist ya milima, watu wanaenda hiyo milima hiyo side mzuri kama outing watoto wakati ya Eid ya sherehe.
The Rock Hill of Takaba has attracted investments, especially in hospitality industry.
Anaenda kwa milima. Hiyo milima ndio natembea mzuri sana juu yake. Na angalia na biga bicha. Ikimaliza huko ambayo shore zao anakuja hapo kwa Gara Azizia, anakula hapo hoteli.
Wanaenda huko ya kucheza hiyo juu ya hiyo milima. Mtu kama kidogo stress na familia yake wanaenda mahali ya kucheza mpira, na side nyingine ya kidogo kuenda watu hana stress ingine ni hiyo outing tu. Afadhali ningependa serikali hiyo milima angalie vizuri, ajenge vizuri.
Both the national government and the county government of Mandera have been challenged to invest more in the infrastructure.
I know the current county management has done a lot in the areas of creating accessibility. We just have to put more effort, more budget in creating accessibility so that people are able to travel easily.
Wakati ya kusema marginalization, sisi tumekuwa marginalized na national government na serikali, hiyo wakati imekwisha. Tuko na devolved system.
However, the tourism potential of the area has been impeded by challenges such as insecurity and poor road network.
We have to work with all government agencies in creating good business environment. We have to promote peaceful coexistence among the residents of Mandera people.
Both the leaders and the rest of the residents say if the Rock Hill of Takaba is well marketed, it has the potential of contributing immensely to the socio-economic development of Mandera County in line with the Vision 2030.
Now, corporation tax is levied on companies, trusts and cooperatives at the rate of 30% for residents and 37.5% for non-residents. And as our reporter Caroline Jenga narrates on this week's episode of Tax 101, multinationals that have operations in Kenya are required to pay corporation tax on income accrued within Kenya.
All income accrued or derived in Kenya, whether by an individual or a corporate, a resident or a non-resident, is subject to tax. In Kenya, the corporate income tax is a levy collected from companies based on their net income. Even though the resident rate of corporate income tax is 30%, in 2020, the applicable rate was 25% following a review from the government and measures announced to cushion both individuals and companies from the adverse economic effects of COVID-19. Where a non-resident person carries out a business in Kenya through a permanent establishment, the income will be considered to have accrued in or derived from Kenya. The non-resident rate of corporate income tax is 37.5%. For listed companies, there are incentives such as lower corporate tax over a specific period of time. The preferential tax rates available for newly listed companies on the Nairobi Securities Exchange range from 20% to 27% for a period ranging from 3 to 5 years. The rate, however, depends on the percentage of listed shares made available to the public through the Nairobi Securities Exchange. A rate of 20% applies if 40% of issued share capital is listed for a 5-year period. 25% rate if 30% of issued share capital is listed also for a 5-year period, and 27% rate if 20% of issued share capital is listed for a 3-year period. There are also specific rates for certain resident and non-resident companies. For example, those in export processing zones are exempt from corporation tax duration for the first 10 years of operations. After the 10th year, they are subject to corporation tax at the rate of 25%.
Those setting up in special economic zones pay corporation tax at the rate of 10% during the first 5 years.
Other companies that enjoy a reduced corporate tax or at the rate of 15% are local motor vehicle assemblies and also real estate companies that construct about 100,000 residential units in Kenya. Caroline Jenga for Prime Edition.
Thank you, Caroline, for that report. Now, some farmers in Homa Bay County have embarked on the implementation of an integrated fish farming that incorporates planting of trees that provide quality fish feed ingredients. As Purity Museo now reports, this unique method of farming is part of the Regreening Africa, a program that targets boosting food production as well as increasing the forest cover.
Lake Victoria, one of the largest lakes in Africa, visibly sits in the heart of East Africa. On the Kenyan side, its waters flow into the shallow depression that cuts across the Great Plateau that stretches between the western and eastern Rift Valleys. The lake has more than 200 species of fish, of which tilapia is the most economically viable. Choked with pollution, weeds have flourished while the fish population has declined.
Ingawa saa hii tuko na upungufu wa samaki, hata kwa sasa hivi unaweza kuona vile wamama wanateseka sana.
Kama saa hii kuna watu wengi wameingia ndani ya lake kuvua samaki. Pia kuna mambo ya uchafu ambayo imeingia ndani ya lake. Kwa sasa hii imefanya upungufu wa samaki kawa ndani ya lake.
The lake is under the threat of pollution and climate change.
In terms of forest cover, the national target is 10%, and that also includes 10% tree cover even on farm. But Homa Bay is one of those counties that has got below 5%.
However, courtesy of the Regreening Africa project by the World Vision in partnership with Homa Bay County government, farmers here are embracing fish pond liners as well as planting fodder trees to supplement fish feeds.
We are also doing climate change activities. We are also promoting energy conservation.
As we promote these approaches, we are looking at what is best for this farmer that can complement his livelihood. So we told them now, other than just bringing in trees, ornamental trees on farm, can you bring trees that can also act as fodder crops?
The move is not only providing alternative source of livelihoods for locals, but is also helping in mitigating climate change.
The farmer looks at what nature generally gives, and then it nurtures those that are coming out. Now the thing is that when you cut a tree, for example, that tree will not die because underneath you have not destroyed the roots. The root system, the root network is down there. So if this thing is given time to resprout, it will come up.
It's a scorching day when we arrive at Maxwell's home in Lambwe, Homa Bay County. His home has a variety of tree species. He has ventured into tree and fish farming.
We started off by digging a borehole. That's the first project. And every single year we realized the water level went down.
With a forest kind of compound, the 33-year-old decided to explore the suitability of the tree leaves as a source of various forms of vitamin for his fish.
I decided to plant them around for a trial. I tried three tree species. One was Sesbania. For the first time, I just took the leaves and dropped in the water. And fish, as we may see, the fish, they are not consuming it too much.
The harvest is in plenty. During dry seasons, he does not strain looking for cut-off feeds. He still uses the caliandra leaves as fodder for his livestock.
This is a very lucrative business because if you analyze the cost-benefit analysis, you realize the profit margin in fish farming on farm is higher.
He is empowering other farmers in the area as well. The efforts have not only helped with income generation, but also forest restoration. Residents do not have to deplete the forest to look for firewood. Instead, they use the pruned branches from the trees for firewood or charcoal burning. Purity Museo, Prime Edition, Migori County.
Now to technology, where the 3D animation space has been growing at double-digit figures, fueled by increasing appetite for high-quality content that is relatable to local culture or heritage. This is a joy for those in the 3D animation space, as our reporter Alan Aoko narrates in this week's episodes of Tech One.
Cedric Price, a famous British architect, once said, "If technology is the answer, then what is the question?" And today, we seek to answer the question of 3D animation in the country.
The global 3D animation market size was valued at 1.8 trillion shillings in 2020 and is projected to grow by 11.7% annually over the next 7 years. According to the latest Grand View research, the global 3D animation market size is expected to more than double to 4.4 trillion shillings by the year 2028. These figures remain foreign, at least for Kenya, where 3D animation is just developing.
3D animation is still, we could say it's still at a nascent age. I don't know whether that's the right word. There's still few practitioners, few full-time practitioners, but it's growing. There's some recognition, there's been some ads, and a little bit of short-form communication. You can also...
Meet Josephat Nyakundi from 3D Africa in studio working on a client's project.
Then I'm just going to do a test render.
Nyakundi says despite industry drawbacks, Kenyans have begun embracing stories told from their own perspectives.
I think if you look at the two last 3D animated projects that we did Lady Moran, which was nominated for a Kalasha. We came second. We came second on the voting platform, and then we have also done the new Book of Ka, which is an animated series which we are showing through our pay-per-view site www.bookofka.com. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to bring awareness and at the same time tap into these stories that Kenyans want to hear, they want to watch, and not necessarily every Kenyan, but those who are fans of 3D animation and gaming.
Given the growing adoption of visual effects technology in movies and games and increasing demand for high-quality animation, Nyakundi expects a promising future for animators.
If you want to jump into the professional space, there may be additional investment. But if you are at the basic level, there shouldn't be a real barrier in terms of how you can acquire the equipment. There's also resource centers like the Kenya Film Commission. They have a fully furnished resource center for 3D animation. You can book a space there. In fact, I think right now there's not so much traffic. You can get a whole day with a machine, produce something.
Nyakundi tells us that, for instance, a 24-minute 3D animation episode, depending on custom designs and client specifications, will cost you not less than 400,000 shillings.
Invest in 3D animation, invest in gaming. Because currently what we are doing is trying to show that there is a viable business opportunity. Because if you look at majority of the games and animations that are being shown throughout the world on international platforms, there is a lot of investment.
Even as animators like Nyakundi hope that most Kenyans will embrace 3D animation, he says the industry now needs business support and favorable policies.
The very unique space of 3D animation, and of course we are looking forward to the growth of this industry, and of course we keep on updating you as the viewer about this technological space and the exciting things within this area. I'm Alan Aoko for Tech One.
Wow, the power of telling our own stories. Thank you, Alan, for that story. Now, macadamia farming has started to gain prominence in Embu County, with farmers attracted by high returns. Farmers such as Samuel Maura say that they have opted to replace coffee bushes with the less labor-intensive macadamia to reap the higher earnings. Here is our reporter Benson Rioba with the details.
Samuel Maura says the price of a kilo of macadamia steadily increased over the last decade 7 times to 200 shillings pre-COVID. although he acknowledges that the prices have since reduced due to the disruption caused by the coronavirus in key international markets. Maura says macadamia is still more profitable when compared to other food and cash crops.
And around 2000, the market was about 30 shillings. And people started to be serious in planting macadamia because they had found it was better than coffee.
The increasing number of macadamia processing factories has led more farmers to embrace the cash crop over the years.
It is very delicious.
With good crop husbandry and the right seedlings, a macadamia tree takes an average of 4 years to mature. Once mature, a tree produces about 70 kilos of macadamia per season.
A tree matures in about 4 years with good management. And a mature tree of macadamia can produce between 70 and 80 kilos with good management from April to June. That is the harvest time. Because when macadamia tree flowers, it takes 80 months to mature.
However, some farmers are said to be planting the wrong variety and are being encouraged to familiarize themselves with the topography of their farms to know the variety of macadamia tree to plant.
Monanga 20, the nuts are very heavy. Very heavy. So, because this is agribusiness, we sell weight. So Muranga is best in weight. But when we come to Kiambu, the tree is very big. As you can see here, it is very big with so many nuts. So it also can produce about 70 to 80 kilograms per season per year.
Maura says the national and county government should create interventions in the macadamia value chain, such as subsidizing fertilizer and farm inputs.
I would like the government to assist the farmer. Farmers, macadamia farmers should be assisted like coffee farmers, tea farmers, maize farmers, and other farmers like fish farming with loans, advisories. Processor of nuts cannot export his or her nuts with the shells. I would like the government to change that policy so as a farmer or a processor can sell the nuts anywhere in the world with the shells.
He hopes prices in the international market will pick up as more countries enforce COVID-19 interventions, such as the COVID-19 vaccination.
Macadamia farming has been good to me. I have built a good house. I have educated my children.
Benson Rioba reporting for Business Insight.
We take a short break, but when we come back, stakeholders in the tea value chain are calling on the government for electricity rebates. That story and much more coming back shortly.
This week on Surura, discovering Kakamaga's rich history of clayworks. Showroom.
Yes.
Where we visit Kenya's last rainforest.
Please enter at your own risk.
His Royal Highness. And also get to meet Kenya's last and only reigning monarch. That's coming right up on Surura. Find your adventure.
Your name is Filthy Tom Waller and you're the MLW World Champion. You will do whatever it takes to hold on to that title.
Now hold on here. What is Samael doing? We've seen these guys use boots and spikes and gas cans and
kick it off. Here's Scott. Here is Samael and Selena De Lorenza, your middleweight champion.
You better be ready.
Welcome back. Now, stakeholders in the tea value chain are calling on the government to offer electricity rebates to reduce the cost of tea production as part of incentives to revive the subsector. They argue that the high cost of energy remains a hurdle, especially among smallholder farmers.
Electricity rebate program was designed to significantly reduce the expenses on electricity by companies involved in manufacturing, both large and small, by deducting the tax on a percentage of their electricity bills. It was done through the amendment of Section 15 of the Income Tax Act in 2018, which ultimately provides that 30% of electricity costs incurred by manufacturers will not be subjected to tax.
This is because we over-rely on the export market. We are the third largest tea producer, but we only consume 5% of our annual production.
Those in the tea value chain say electricity incentives will go a long way in reducing the cost of production, since energy accounts for between 30 to 50% of the overall cost of tea processing.
But consumption has stagnated to around 5.6 billion kilos. That means there is an oversupply of 400 million kilos of tea in the world. That has adversely affected the prices of tea globally. And that has a triple effect in terms of the bonuses that farmers in this country have been paid.
Going forward, they want inclusivity in the policy-making process so as to safeguard tea farmer interests.
Now, the Nigerian government has picked international banks such as JP Morgan, Citigroup and Standard Chartered as international book runners on the forthcoming Eurobond issue. Nigeria's Debt Manager Office says proceeds from the Eurobond sale will be used to fund various projects in the budget, with the resultant inflow of foreign exchange into the country. Here are the details of this and other stories across Africa.
The Nigerian government says the Eurobond will fund various projects in the budget, as well as will boost Nigeria's dollar reserves and support the Naira currency. Nigeria has planned a Eurobond issue early last year after its sixth sale in 2018, where it raised $2.86 billion, but it decided to defer the 2020 sale due to the turmoil caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Its parliament last month approved the external borrowing of about $6.2 billion through the issuance of Eurobond. Meanwhile, Zimbabwe will clear a backlog of foreign currency allocations on from central bank auctions in the next 45 days. Zimbabwe's central bank introduced weekly foreign currency auctions last year to improve access to dollars, but traders at 3 commercial banks and 2 officials from a business lobby group says it currently takes up to 7 weeks for successful bidders to receive their allocations, which is disrupting companies' operations. Finally, Ghana plans to put digital currency into trail use in the upcoming September to reduce its reliance on cash. Analysts say the introduction of the digital currency can spur the local economy to grow. The mobile money introduced by the telecommunications companies has been widely accepted in Ghana over the last few years. Ghana's central bank says transactions in the first half of this year hit nearly $80 billion. Analysts say much remains to be done to make it easier for Ghanaians to accept credit in financial services. Analysts wanted the central bank to find ways to reduce the security risks that might be involved in transactions.
Now that's all we have for business, but earlier on we had introduced this story and now I have the details, where Parliament will set up a TV and radio station in 2 months in partnership with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. According to the chairman of the Parliamentary Broadcast and Library Committee, Justice Kizito, Bunge TV and radio station will entirely broadcast parliamentary proceedings.
Broadcast Committee members made their way to Mrima KBC transmission station in Kwale County. Speaking during the second day of their tour of KBC satellite transmission stations at the coast, the committee's chairman, Justus Kizito, said that Parliament's plan to have its own TV and radio station will be realized in 2 months' time.
Yapata miezi miwili mtakuwa tayari. Miezi miwili mitatu tutakuwa tuko tayari. Lakini tutakuwa mfupi, yani short term, itaanza hivi karibuni na tunashirikiana na KBC, tutaanza hivi karibuni na utaiona.
The members said that the TV and radio will be purely for parliamentary broadcast.
Na nafikiria kupitia kwa kituo hichi tunaweza kupaza vipawa, tunaweza kuwawezesha, na pia tutakuwa tunawapatia ujumbe sahihi ya Kenya mahali ambapo inaelekea.
A lot of information will be shared via this channel. And so Kenyans will be the richer for it. Our democracy will be the stronger for it. Public participation will be better understood and better engaged by our citizens, better than the way it is currently.
He reiterated that the partnership with KBC is the best bet because the station is well equipped with a nationwide viewership.
And indeed, we want to confirm that we have seen that KBC is capable. It has all that it takes to make sure that what we want to transmit from Parliament reaches our people.
They noted that KBC has the potential of remaining ahead of its pack in the country.
We think and we believe that KBC also has that potential. It is a giant and we don't want to be a sleeping giant. Let them bring in new stuff, let them bring new ideas, let them rebrand, let them do whatever they have to do so that we can catch our market share in this country.
For Prime Edition, from Mombasa County, I am Anburu.
Well, we have a comment here from David Owago. He says he would like us to do a story. This is a comment of the story that we had on the rocks in Mandera, and he would like to see a story also about the bridge over Congo. We will definitely put that into discussion and have someone do that story. Now, let's catch a break, and when we come back, we have sports for you. I will be standing in for Richard Munga coming up shortly.